This is the nameless protagonist. Today's scroll will be discussing the concepts of Saiminjutsu, psychological warfare, and the spider method, known in ninjutsu as the Great Web. To paraphrase Ivan von Clausewitz, a Prussian general who wrote the 18-volume dissertation on war, quote, "War is but a tool to compel others to your will by way of violence, fueled by politics and morality. As such, the immediate objective of war is to disarm your opponent so they can pose no further resistance." End quote. Before any successful long-term war campaign can take place, the tip of the spear is not special operations, Delta Force, or some advanced weapons systems implementation, but the use of PSYOPs. The US Army symbolizes this with the knight chess piece and a banner that states the words persuade, change, influence. This MOS, or specialty profession, has been critical not only in military operations going back as far as World War I, but in United States foreign policy through the agencies like the CIA and domestically like the FBI. In ninjutsu, we call this Saiminjutsu to mean hypnotism or mind clouding, as well as Kiaijutsu to mean shouting at the mind as intended as a weapon. Small digression. It should be noted that Kuji-in and Kuji-kiri are in the same school, but are instead used towards oneself as a defense mechanism. We'll likely get into that in another scroll in the future, but getting back on track. Saiminjutsu, when utilized in the modern world, is no different than PSYOPs, be it proximity manipulation of perception through the five senses, or long-term institutionalized indoctrination through repeated use of suggestions. It's all Saiminjutsu. If one is familiar with the series Naruto, this word genjutsu is used to describe this very tactic. For example, the genkai known as Mugen Tsukuyomi or Infinite Tsukuyomi are illustrations of this point, and was a technique symbolically reflected off the moon, which represents the unseen, to infiltrate the mental fortresses of the masses. One of the vectors used to carry out Saiminjutsu historically was through the use of the web, or the spider method, as was mentioned in many shinobi manuals. Kumo no Sutae is one such secret technique of the spider, which advises as follows, quote, "Seek a starting point for the infiltration. Like a spider, one must have a starting point to bind the web together. So too does the great web of intelligence begin with the connections you have made with someone within the area that you intend to steal in." End quote. With that said, we'll segue into the deeper principle of the scroll, and the true essence of ninjutsu as it was understood. In short, the use of spies and agents. There's a shinobi oral history which states, and quote, "When the god Susanoo confronted the giant snake, and when the god Yamato Takeiru confronted a massive army, they won without difficulty, even though the situation was truly dangerous. They achieved great exploits with ease, as if their passage was unhindered. This is because they knew the situation of the enemy and could see this as clearly as reflections are seen in a clear mirror. With the information they gained, they won without hindrance. The essence of how to win in warfare, therefore, lies in knowing the enemy's status. There is no other way to obtain the information other than through the use of spies and agents." End quote. The use of spies and agents are the mortar to the bricks of warfare, and without them, your efforts would simply topple over. We will next examine Sun Tzu's Art of War and get a clear picture as to how this dynamic is carried out. In the 13th chapter in the Art of War, it states the 5 types of spies. I will paraphrase them here. 1. The local spy. Recruited from the general population and often lightly bribed, they can be anybody from the environment or the area of operations. They're commonly referred to as agents. Number 2, the inward spy. These individuals are generally people with higher ranking and influence in the area you wish to infiltrate. They will be people who were done wrongly, high-profile criminals or individuals caught in scandals. What highlights them normally is their enthusiasm to work against the enemy. Number 3, converted spy, or double agent. We'll cover the living spy shortly, but they're generally officers who have been bribed by the enemy or report information to both sides. An entanglement, if you will. Number 4, dead spy, or doomed spy, also known as the misinformant. They are agents that are equipped with false information to intentionally throw off the enemy. The template of, quote, dead or doomed spy can be applied to any spy at any moment. Lately, this term, useful idiot, is a very accurate moniker to describe this kind of spy or agent, and they are indeed to be eliminated by the enemy once discovered with little to no consequence to those who employed them. They are, in other words, disposable. Number 5, the surviving spy, or living spy. When one thinks of the CIA agent seen in movies, you're usually thinking about the living spy. They are often individuals that have been handpicked by an organization or party to be trained exclusively in mind and body and taught ways of tradecraft so that they can deploy into enemy territory. It is intended for them to complete the mission and report back safely to what was observed. Surviving or living spies are often called intelligence officers in the modern war. These are the 5 kinds of spies and agents recognized in ninjutsu and throughout world governments. To quote Sun Tzu specifically, he states, "When these 5 kinds of spies are all at work, none can discover their secret systems. This is called divine manipulation of the threads. It is the sovereign's most precious faculty." End quote. Allow me to elaborate. With use of money, persuasion, and influence, one can encourage the local population to produce local spies. From these local spies, one learns the potential existence of inward spies. From the connections held by inward spies, the enemy's living spies can be realized. Through learning about the enemy's living spies, you can seek them out with enormous financial incentive and lucrative hospitality to get them to work for you. Thus you receive the converted spy. With this converted spy, the use of doomed spy can be used to thwart the enemy's attempt to spy on you properly. And with this window open, one can then send their living spies in to gather what is needed and know with great confidence that they will return safely. Thus, double agents, or converted spy, are the crux to making this whole weave work. Without double agents, or the converted spy, the latter stages of the weave fall apart. Thus, the double agents have to be treated with the highest regard, and without them, there is no weave. To conclude then, when you stop and truly consider your surroundings, there are threads that have been woven all around you. It behooves you to remember that not all hostile action comes in the form of violence. Stay vigilant and do not get caught in the web. This has been the Nameless Protagonist.